This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez. Peter Ludlow is our guest, a professor of philosophy at Northwestern University, has been tracking the case of Barrett Brown and wrote a Nation piece about him, the strange case of Barrett Brown. So the FBI raids his home, and he ultimately is arrested. He faces 100 years in prison.
Yeah, if you add up all the charges, and if he serves them sequentially, it'll be 105 years in prison. Yeah, that's right.
And the decision for no bail?
That's a mystery to me.
He's been in jail now for 300
days. Yeah, over 300 days. No bail. For a while, they had frozen his the contributions to his legal fund too.
Well, that sounds like WikiLeaks, meaning that's what happened to WikiLeaks. They had all these different corporations like PayPal refuse to allow money to go.
Yeah, right.
Let's go to an interview Barrett Brown did with NBC's Michael Isikoff, serving as a spokesperson for Anonymous.
Our people break laws, just like all people break laws. When we break laws, we do so in the service of civil disobedience. We do so ethically. We do it against targets who have asked for it.
You go against targets that have asked for it?
Yes.
What do you mean?
Targets who have engaged in a manner that is either unethical and contrary to the the values of this age, information freedom, and sometimes just plain common sense. In the case of them going after journalists, going after WikiLeaks in the way that they were planning to do so.
But you can attack websites.
Yes, we can attack websites. We can DDoS them, we can sometimes hack them, we can sometimes take over the websites themselves, put messages up as we did today with Westboro and as we did with the company HB Gary and other federal contractors during that attack.
You can
take it over to face it.
The websites of government contractors.
And governments, of course. In Tunisia and in Libya, Algeria and Egypt and Iran, we either took down or replaced government websites. We replace them with messages from us to the people of those nations explaining what we're doing and why, and what we'll provide if they choose to revolt.
Are you worried you're going to get prosecuted?
I'm not worried about it, but I am going to get prosecuted at some point, yes.
Because you're involved in hacking activities?
Because they can do whatever they want to anyone they want.
But you're not worried?
No, because, again, like I said, I'm well protected right now.
What do you mean well protected?
I've got a lot of lawyers, and I've got a lot of higher up people. I've got people I talk to who support us. And if they come after me, they're going to find that they're not going to like everything they see.
That's Barrett Brown talking to NBC's Michael Isikoff. Well, the fact is Barrett Brown has been in prison now for 300 days, and he faces decades in prison. Can you explain, that's when he was an Anonymous spokesperson, what Anonymous is, and then also talk about the groups he exposed, like Endgame and others, though he wasn't the only one to do that.
Sure. I have to think he was a little bit optimistic there in his claims about how he was all lawyered up there, but he was related to Anonymous, which is, it's not a group per se. You or I could claim to be members of Anonymous. It's more like a flag that you fly if you choose to. And so there was a loosely knit group of hacktivists. Some of them were intersecting. They carried out hacks against, as he says, against various private intelligence contractors and other kinds of targets. He's quite right that during the Arab Spring and the Tunisian uprising and so forth, members of Anonymous did a lot of work in keeping protesters online and in minimizing the effectiveness of the governments in the Middle East in that time. And then you asked about things like Endgame systems, for example. Yeah, Endgame is a very interesting thing. I mean, Endgame is this kind of very secretive private intelligence company. And you even see in the HB Gary hack, you see these messages where someone from Endgame says in an email, "We don't ever want to see our name in a press release from you guys." And what makes it particularly interesting is if you read the search warrant that's issued to Barrett when he's busted, it says, well, we're looking for stuff related to HB Gary and Endgame Systems. You're like, why Endgame Systems? And this is a corporation that's involved in what are called zero-day exploits. Now, what's a zero-day exploit? Basically, what that means is that there are certain security flaws in the software that we have and that we use, and sometimes the company doesn't know about it. Sometimes it's known about it for 7 days, and they've had 7 days to work on it. A zero-day exploit is one that the software company doesn't know about. And Endgame Systems packages these things and sells them. So, for example, they have one where you get, it's a subscription for like $2.5 million a year, and you get these exploits. So it's things that a hacker would do, but because they're a business and they're making money for it, apparently it's okay, right? And it seems that the Justice Department is kind of running interference for these guys. And there's you don't have to take my word for it. There's a great article in Business Week on this in which they talk about the guys from Endgames, setting up slides and showing you targets in airports, telling you what the computers are running there, and what the vulnerabilities are, and so forth. Who runs Endgame? Where are they based? They're based in Atlanta, Georgia, I believe. Someone recently posted a video on YouTube in which he walked into the place just to see what was going on there. And the people, I think it's it's started by an ex-intelligence person and by a security guy at IBM. And very quickly, Project PM. Project PM is basically Barrett's. One of the genius things about Barrett was that he wanted to crowdsource all this information, because you get a hack of Stratfor and it's 5 million emails, and how do you sort through all that? So he had a number of friends and acquaintances, including Michael Hastings, by the way, who were members of Project PM. Michael Hastings, the reporter who just died in a suspicious car accident. Yeah, exactly right. And so he would basically crowdsource this. And so the case where he copied that link, he was basically notifying the members of Project PM where they could find the information from the Stratfor hack. So what's the schedule of, we just have 30 seconds, of what will happen to Barrett Brown right now? He's in jail in Texas. Yeah, he's got a great legal team. Charles Swift is one of them, the guy from the Judge Advocate General's thing that took that Gitmo case all the way to the Supreme Court. From the Ahmed Ghapoor, who's at the University of Texas Law School. There's a group of individuals with freebarrettbrown.com who are raising money for him there, and they're available if you have questions and so forth. Well, we'll certainly follow this case. Peter Ludlow, professor of philosophy at Northwestern University, has written extensively on hacktivist actions against private intelligence firms and the surveillance state. His most recent piece is in The Nation. It's called The Strange Case of Barrett Brown. We will link to it at democracynow.org.